There aren't even any sheets. Oh, wow.
On the 26th of June, a hurricane in Moscow these days is tearing off roofs,
destroying skyscrapers,
and knocking down Muscovites. And Moscow was engulfed by a hurricane and the flood of the century. Unbelievable. The wind is blowing like crazy. Moscow city is blown up. Roofs are destroyed. Muscovites are screaming. 18,000 Muscovites were left without power.
What's that?
Is that a tornado forming right before our very eyes?
Trees were uprooted, large cranes had fallen, and roofs were completely torn off. A severe hurricane, hail, and flood occurred in Moscow and the Moscow region.
Live report, a mix of events. Leningradsky Prospect. Da-da-da-da. Japanese policeman, this is the end.
Moscow was flooded by a squally hurricane, and the rain drowned Moscow. The flooding in Moscow is getting worse and worse. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in the comments let us know where you're watching from your location. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. Hurricanes, squally winds are tearing off roofs, destroying houses, and flooding skyscrapers. Panic and evacuation have begun in Moscow. Boom, bada boom. Wind, rain, and hail have damaged hundreds of cars and infrastructure facilities. The disaster has caused a traffic collapse. Buses, trams, and trolley buses have stopped running in Moscow. A tree fell onto the tracks of one of the Moscow metro lines.
On Moscow. A mega downpour with hail and possibly tornadoes hit the capital of Russia today.
The Ministry of Emergency Situations did not warn Muscovites about how dangerous this could be. It's possible that Moscow will go underwater. This looks more like the hurricane and tornado of the century. Strong winds are tearing down billboards, the roofs of Moscow buildings, and toppling trees. Trees have destroyed skyscrapers and cars, and there are casualties due to falling trees. Muscovites are in a panic. The hurricane is destroying roofs, shattering windows. Muscovites are screaming, their tents are being blown away.
Listen closely. This is truly the very best story I have ever had the pleasure of telling.
And wiping Muscovites off the face.
Of the vast expanse.
A yellow danger level has been declared in Moscow. Moscow has been flooded. They're literally being swept off the face of the earth. The wind is tearing apart tents. Muscovites are screaming. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and write a few words in the comments to support Ukraine, as well as about how Mother Nature is destroying the Russian Federation and its capitals. Stay with us, stay on the bright side. The promised tornadoes were recorded in Lobnya, near Moscow. Moscow was flooded. Moscow and the Moscow region were hit by a squall with rain. There's a thunderstorm warning, orange danger level in Moscow. Boom, bad boom, topi topi. It's clear until Moscow sings forever.
These copa sheet. Oh, 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 oh. Holy shit, this is money. This is money.
In some places, hail has been observed.
Friends, squally winds, thunderstorms, a hurricane. Muscovites are furious. The wind is tearing roofs of houses, windows are shattered, and trees are destroying the cafeterias of new local buildings.
What was that about?
What exactly did they say?
Muscovites are in a panic, their tents are being blown away by wind and rain, and in their fury they can't understand why this divine punishment has come to Moscow.
Live report, a mix of events. Here's Leningradsky Prospect. Ta-da-da. Holy moly, this is a disaster. Here, the guys aren't clearing away the deadwood, so what are people guilty of now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars.
This is a boomerang. This is divine providence, punishment for all the evil that Russia has done to our country, Ukraine. Moscow is getting flooded, friends. Write in the comments what you think about this.
Muscovites were warned that a hurricane was coming. No one could believe it. After all, the weather was good, the sun was shining. And then at 3 p.m., a real Armageddon began. Rain, thunderstorm, wind speeds reached 17 meters per second. The amount of precipitation that fell in just 1 hour almost exceeded half a month's norm.
As a result of the passage of the thunderstorm front, power outages are currently being observed in a number of settlements. Reports have come in about damage to the integrity of roofs, buildings and structures. These weather conditions are expected to persist across the Central and Volga federal districts for the next 2 days.
Trees were broken and fell right onto the playground.
And the wrath of God is intensifying. Hail has started falling in Moscow. In some districts of Moscow, heavy rain has begun. Residents of the capital have also been posting videos of the hail. Stones from the sky are destroying Russians. According to the Yandex weather precipitation map, a squally downpour and hurricane are hitting the southwest and south of the capital, the city center, as well as the northeast. In the Moscow region, there are walls of rain and hurricanes, particularly in Vidnoye and Korolyov. The Ministry of Emergency Situations has issued a warning about thunderstorms and squally winds in the Moscow region. There, the yellow level
is... Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Extremely dangerous and poses a significant risk.
There is panic in Moscow. It's the hurricane of the century in Russia. Fires have left thousands of Russians without electricity, heat, or homes.
Everything is burning. Holy moly. I don't have a passport, we have nothing. Everything we had burned. We only managed to save ourselves.
This is a karma in Russia, a state of emergency. More than 150,000 Russians are without electricity. A large-scale evacuation has begun.
The roads are blocked. Everything is closed. There's no way to get anywhere.
Massive fires and hurricanes.
In the Saragash area, the fire is burning right up to the highway.
Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames, and the fire has come dangerously close to major cities. The most difficult situation is in Krasnoyarsk Krai and the Republic of Khakassia.
It's honking loudly. We're quickly running away from it. And it's now right next to us. Incredibly close.
It's sweeping away people and houses. A hurricane-force wind has hit several regions of Russia, and powerful fires are destroying Siberia.
It's just your whole life. When you've put so much into it, just left with nothing.
Boom, bada boom, burn, burn brightly, so it doesn't ever go out. My dear friends, please do like this video, subscribe to my official YouTube channel, and even take a moment to write a few truly kind and supportive words in the comments section to show your unwavering support for Ukraine. Also, please let us know exactly where in the world you're watching from, so like, comment and subscribe, and then let's get this important discussion started. The powerful and unpredictable elements are raging all at once across the vast and diverse regions of Kuzbas, Khakassia, Altai Krai and Krasnoyarsk Krai, creating a truly dramatic scene. Fires driven by gale force winds are spreading rapidly and destroying entire villages in Siberia. Hurricanes, strong winds, and heavy rains have also hit the Kemerovo, Novosibirsk, and Irkutsk regions. According to Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations, power outages caused by the bad weather have affected more than 150,000 Russians.
The situation remains difficult even though the wind has died down. As you can see, it is still present. Moreover, according to the forecast, over the next 7 days, it could reach up to 20 meters per second. That is more than enough for steppe fires to occur. Therefore, once again, I want to urge all our residents to handle fire with extreme caution.
Hurricane-force winds have hit Siberia. It is tearing off roofs. It is snapping power lines and contributing to the rapid spread of wildfire. Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames, and the fire has come dangerously close to major cities. The most difficult situation is in Krasnoyarsk Krai and the Republic of Khakassia. In the Irkutsk region, 17 houses have already been lost and 100,000 people are without electricity. In the vast Krasnoyarsk Krai region, a significant number of 33,000 people are currently without electrical power, and in the neighboring Republic of Khakassia, there are officially reported to be 14 individuals who have sustained injuries. Additionally, there are dozens of widespread and destructive fires. A massive and rapidly advancing fire front stretching nearly 80 kilometers in length poses a serious threat. Hello, everyone.
Hello, my dear friends. It's truly wonderful to be here with all of you today, and I'm so glad you could join us.
Landscape forest fires are raging near Dobokani and Minuzinsk. The flames are approaching homes, people are being urgently evacuated, and those who remain are being told to fight the fire with shovels, reports the Telegram channel CHTD. In Krasnoyarsk, the wind tore off roofs, and one woman died after falling from a balcony. Along the road to the airport, a wall of fire has come right up to the runway. In many regions of Siberia, there are widespread power and water outages.
People in their vast and diverse multitudes are the fundamental essence of our societies, driving progress and shaping the world around us.
Wasteland, that's all that's left of their former life. The fire, driven by hurricane-force winds, consumed both the house and all their belongings. Cars, furniture, clothing now, all reduced to ashes. The whole community tried to put out the fire, but the Maligin family and their 6-year-old daughter lost absolutely everything.
In fact, without any documents, I can't even restore my SIM card. Because I don't have a passport, we have nothing, everything we had burned. We only managed to save ourselves.
Only tears remain, and thousands of questions about what comes next. The Antokin family also lost their home on the neighboring street. Victoria, the mother of 2 underage children, was sheltering with relatives in Abakan during the storm. Now, there is basically nowhere to return to. Just ruins and the lonely shell of a stove remain.
The roof caught fire, and that was it. Everything burned down in 5 minutes. The dog burned, the chickens burned, all the buildings, everything. Nothing is left. Of course, it's terrifying. We managed to leave the house in advance with the trees when the grass caught fire.
The neighboring field was exactly where the wind blew towards the residential houses, becoming a conduit for the fires. Sayana Kazigasheva was among the first to lose her home. The 2-story house and all our belongings were destroyed by the flames in a matter of minutes. Now there's only blackened earth all around.
The fire started at the end of the street. I got scared, grabbed my child and took them to the city. When I came back to the plot, the house was burning.
In the Vesna gardening community, a total of 5 houses were destroyed. That means 5 families lost everything at once. 14 plots were damaged to some extent. In Ali Sapogov, 2 houses burned down. Overall, during the storm in the Ustabakan district, 17 private houses and 6 apartment buildings were affected. 3 kindergartens, 6 community centers and 2 farms. The authorities have formed a commission to assess the scale and compile a list of those who need financial assistance.
We are determining the amount of damage, doing what we can. If our own financial resources are not enough, then accordingly we will turn to the Republic for help, that's for sure. Right now we are helping people as much as we can. If someone has nowhere to stay during this difficult time and has no relatives, we provide social housing.
As for the causes, of course, there are many factors involved. This includes hurricane-force winds, as well as the fire prevention measures that authorities should take in advance or the neglect of those measures. Abandoned plots overgrown with dry weeds pose a significant danger at such times. However, each of these plots has its own owner.
The strictest measures will be taken together with the prosecutor's office. We have already exchanged information with the Sebakansky district. We will be preparing documents to carry out municipal land inspections.
Obviously, for many residents of Khakassia, the recent hurricane and fires were a real shock. The terrifying and uncontrollable force of nature turned into a dreadful inferno. Now a new misfortune has appeared, this time with a very human face. At night, people have started to notice looters.
They saw that we were watching, so they stopped. Sometimes they turn off their headlights. They drive, stop, and turn off their headlights. And then they turned around and started shining their high beams right into our windows. So they're really watching, like checking out the houses.
For the authorities, one of the main tasks right now is assessing the damage and helping those affected. Anyone who cares can help with this. The personal number of the head of the Ustabakan district and the Unified Duty Dispatch Service is shown on the screen. You can get more details by calling. People with children have been left with practically nothing, and any help here will not go amiss. And it's easier to get through hardship together than alone. Konstantin Kravtsov, Karim Tugu-Jekov, Vesti, Khakassia.
Moreover, I myself have seen, while walking, when a grass fire starts, residents begin to pull grass near the fence. Of course, all this needs to be done in a timely manner. That is, all of us on our land plots, whether summer cottages or residential properties, and of course to prevent disaster, safety measures around the property must be taken promptly, appealing to residents first of all to handle fire and dry grass with care, but on the other hand to do everything possible to help municipalities improve the settlements.
There can be no peaceful truce, no peace agreement. That's why I really like the president's words when he said that we won't just pressure them or finish them off. That's exactly how we need to act.
A compromise is always possible. Example, cremation.
Burial. Well, that is already an achieved and accomplished result. Well, how else can we further consider this, or what other aspects can be explored?
The Nazis?
Think so. I think so. Shoot and hang them, there are no other options.
Steal with tactical nuclear weapons on the city where the decision-making center was located from BAD. The fascists were there once too, and that's fine. They had their headquarters there as well. In any
case, I'd say that tactical nuclear weapons are the king's last argument. The last
strategic one.
And you always have to keep it ready. And its use?
Strategic, yes. Tactical is fine. A high-altitude detonation, powerful electromagnetic radiation. The radiation will be low, but it will take out all the electronics just fine.
And as for its use, actually, from the decision to practical application, it's just a matter of a few minutes. I say this as someone who knows.
You, when you were with the BADs, right?
Not at all.
Well, there's no need to go there after a nuclear strike anyway.
Yes, Vladimirovich, by the way, I completely agree with you. You know, yesterday in your evening show, you thoughtfully touched upon this very important topic. And now you've quite rightly and accurately pointed out that, as they often say, to truly take full moral responsibility for the potential use of nuclear weapons is, without any doubt, a profound sin. But an even greater sin, of course, is to lose a war, and especially to lose your homeland. Therefore, the situation is developing in such a way that, well, probably this is the most, in this sense, the right path, because this European fascism needs to be stopped once and for all and uprooted with fire, with ashes, with nuclear means, and so on, because they've just gotten way too out of hand.
But what I would like to note in this regard, again, from a socio-strategic perspective and in terms of the overall development of the situation and the preparation, so to speak, for future conflicts, After all, by and large, these drone strikes on targets within our country are already being carried out, let's say, across the entire European part. And already with upgraded equipment, the armed forces of Ukraine are now receiving drones with a flight range of 3,000 kilometers, and that already reaches as far as Novosibirsk. So what needs to be said in this regard? That the very concept of a rear area as such is disappearing. And in general, the issue can be framed this way. Well, all right.
This is, of course, a characteristic feature of modern wars.
And what does the disappearance of the rear area as such mean? Then the question arises, where do you store reserves of material resources? The same goes for ammunition, fuel, and lubricants. After all, you can't just stash a crate under every bush and a canister here and there across the country. And the issue really is that this is one of the most pressing problems right now. We need to look several decades ahead here, and that's no exaggeration. And maybe we should even ask ourselves this question. With the technologies we have today, can we solve this problem? Because let's put it this way. It's not always possible to solve this with organizational or staffing measures alone. Once again, I'm saying that you can't assign an anti-aircraft missile regiment to guard every fuel tank. In general, this issue needs to be discussed at the broadest levels, both openly and behind closed doors. Because, let's put it this way, the outcome of future conflicts and simply the resilience of the state during armed struggle depend on this. So far, this is just about the Ukrainian side. I'm not saying who will be involved in the next war, how things will turn out, where it will all happen, or in what way. It's also important to understand something else here. For example, right now strikes are being carried out on fuel and energy infrastructure facilities, and there are quite a lot of such facilities in the country on which the entire functioning and viability of the state depend.
You've seated the children, and you're pushing the first bite into them. Now check yourself. You sat down at the table. At the table, let's say, grandma cooked borscht. At the table sit her daughter and her daughter's husband. Her son-in-law, that is the son-in-law of the grandma who cooked the borscht, and the children are sitting at the table too. The first bowl is being served. Who does grandma serve the first bowl to? If it's to the children, then she's a criminal. If it's to her daughter, then she's doubly a criminal. To her daughter's husband, the man sitting at the table, the father of her grandchildren, the first piece and the first bowl. Then to the daughter, then to herself, then to the children. What do? You shove all the sweets into the mouths of your pups, who then grow up into dogs and end up tearing you apart. They start using drugs, sleeping around, living in debauchery, losing their minds, jumping off rooftops.
Why do they act like that? Why? Did we come to Ukraine with Jimina? What the hell do we need it for? We lived peacefully and we will continue to live peacefully.
Do we consider that this 30-day truce has already begun, or will additional preparation be required?
We believe that this truce, which was proposed by the President of the United States of America, has already been violated by the Kyiv regime. How will the American side continue to deal with this crazed tourist rabble? Excuse me, that's a big question. I only
welcome such terms.
How will they manage to herd them back into any kind of stall or channel? That's a big question. You understand? And we perfectly understand why it's about energy. Yes, because everything started with energy. In 2022, when Biden said that Nord Stream 1 and 2 would be destroyed by any means necessary, responding to a clarifying question from an American journalist who was shocked by such a statement from the so-called leader of the democratic world. And 6 months later, it happened. After all, this is about training people with an extremist mindset for a certain. It's not even a red rag, but a specific piece of meat. They themselves have raised this monster, which now strikes precisely at energy facilities. You see, that's the question. How will they deal with that, I don't know, with that Frankenstein they've created? How will they manage it?
Like this video and subscribe to my channel, Dasha Schastlivaya. We work for an audience all over the world so that people know the truth about Russian aggression, about Russia's war against Ukraine. So every like you give, every comment and subscription you make helps ensure that as many people as possible around the world see this video. Stay with us, stay on the side of light. Friends, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. We will definitely win.